If I say the word Amazon, Amazon.com, what jumps into your mind? My guess is you think of a gigantic website where you can find pretty much anything you want, buy it online, ship to your house in a day or two, and you have it. But do you know how Amazon started? What was the very first product line that Amazon broke into the market with? It was books. It was books and books and more books and more books and more books. For years and years and years, all Amazon did was distribute books, and they became the absolute best at it. They built an entire business off of just getting really good at one thing and staying true to who they were at the time. Now, of course, Amazon is into everything. And if you look at Nike or Apple or Target or Walmart, or any of these big, gigantic companies out there, chances are you're going to see them doing lots and lots and lots of things. But all of these guys, every single great company started with one thing that they focused on and became absolutely world-class in. Today, we're going to talk about how we're trying to do that at Switchback. Oli and I had a very difficult conversation over the last couple of days talking about who is our target market, what are we trying to do, what do we want to be when we grow up. And it is really hard when you're starting a company to be really focused on this one thing, on getting very good at some corner of the market that you're trying to capture. So sit back, welcome to another episode, enjoy the show here with Matt and Oli and the D.H.E podcast. It's scary as hell to talk to a demographic, a person, a profile, a avatar.
Shit, yeah, it is.
Like you feel like you have to talk to everybody to be successful in business.
But that's the weird part, though, is like I grew up building this thing, right? And everybody told me from day one, who's your demo? I'm like, everybody's my demo. I'm like,
I made this product for every American and every person across the world. It's good. It's wholesome.
Do you have a heartbeat? You can drink this.
Right.
But no, you're right. I think, and that's where, like yesterday, a lot of our discussions and arguments with each other. Like, I want this to be for everybody. I don't want this to just be for 3 to 5% or 10% of America. But you need to have that core demo. Every brand needs that core demo. And I think once you realize, and that was the tough piece too. And I think I asked you, like, you're going to get sick of this. I mean, I ask you this shit all the time. Like, well, can a woman buy this product if we're focused on men? Like, but it's legit, right? Like it's worrisome to a brand, to someone building a brand, that you're just going to pigeonhole yourself.
Right. But the thing that everyone has to remember is, assuming that you pick a demographic that has some sort of, mass scale, right? Like we are trying to sell something to men specifically, and not just men, but dads. Like our shtick is going to be, this is for dads to feel better, to get back to
dad strong, baby.
Dad
like,
strong.
What are dads not? Like I was thinking about that this morning. I was out on a walk. I did one of my famous, not famous because I'm not famous, but I did one of my hour walks in the pitch dark on a trail, no headlamp. Dude, it was amazing. But I was like, my mind is just going a million. I was thinking about it. I was like, what do you never hear about you just never hear about dads. Everything's about moms. Everything's about kids. It's about different, but it's like dads are just kind of forgotten.
And the thing about picking the dad segment, if any segment, right? If you break through with that group, and in the case of dads, it's a gigantic fucking group. It's not, it's not small. So will mom drink it? Yeah, mom will still drink it. But even if she doesn't, if you went over 10% of the dads in the US, I don't even know what that number is. Hundreds. It's got to be damn near close to 100 million people, though.
It's a lot of people. I mean,
right?
But not only that, but like think. This is where my mind goes. Do the same. Because I'm not going to get a buddy of mine always said like the entrepreneur's curse of if we get 1% of the market, like everybody screws up. But for me, I think it's like if we just go out there and we can educate dads on, like, here is something that's going to be healthy. Like I told you this morning, like my friend who called me, like, hey man, this lady like swears by this. If we get dads to understand that, I mean, like, I don't know. I look back, and we've talked a little bit, but when I admitted that I was an alcoholic, like I look at pictures of me, I always had a beer around me. I was 25, 30 pounds heavier than I am now. Like I didn't have any energy to do anything with my kids. Like I'm looking, like truly, like you take Oli from 2017, 2018, put them today. My kids hate me. My kids hate me because I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I don't want to do anything.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Right, dude. And I started my journey on health and wellness and just getting better, feeling better in, I think it was about 2013. I got into CrossFit. I was really, I wanted to live that lifestyle and be the CrossFit guy. And I went all in. I bought a CrossFit gym. I bought all the equipment. If you go in the gym area at my house today, it's all Rogue, right? I still have all of it. It's great. Like, why did I buy Rogue though? Do you know what Rogue is? Rogue fitness equipment?
Yeah, but I'm just thinking like, I'm dying. You are primed to join a cult.
A cult?
Yes.
No, I think for myself. Trust me. But when I get into something,
everything you do is okay. Well,
keep going. Everything I do is what?
All of the things you've done in the last like 5 to 7 years, fitness wise, are like super cultish, right? Like you got CrossFit, you got jujitsu, you got marathons. Like these are all things that like people are like, you are in or you're out, and if you're out, we're not going to talk to you. Like, come on. I get it. Someone from CrossFit's probably going to listen to this, but dude, like I think a CrossFit,
see, you look at it as cult. I look at it as community. You're finding other people that are into what you're doing, and the thing about use jujitsu as an example. Have you ever done it before?
No, I think it'd be badass to do, but I've been told I'm too fat for it.
You're not, dude. I rolled with a guy who was not really rolled with him. We trained together.
Wait a second. What does rolled mean?
Rolling is when you actually like
fight.
Yeah, it's a little controlled, right? You're not going all out. Like tournament jujitsu is nuts. Like it's no holds bar. Do whatever you can.
Isn't jujitsu like super freaking intense workout? Like it's unbelievably intense
when you're rolling with a partner versus just training. Training is when you practice. You got to practice the moves. You got to practice what to do and how to do it. And I am not good at jujitsu, so don't like think I'm some expert at jujitsu. I'm not. I get my ass kicked all the time. But that's where I was going with it. It's the most humbling experience ever because you're gonna sit down. You're way bigger than I am, and I would fucking kill you in jujitsu. Even though I don't know much about it, I still know more than. And it's humbling as hell. So if you are not bought in, and where I'm going with all this, if you don't have a community to support you, you're going to walk off the mat and you're never coming back. The reason that people are so passionate about that sport in particular is because it's really damn hard. It's really hard. So if you're not excited about coming back, you're not coming back. Same with CrossFit. Same with marathons. It's not like you don't weekend warrior marathons. You're either in or you're out. You don't hiking. You don't hike mountains and just train like, it's Saturday, I'm going to train.
No, you don't.
Right? Like you have to be bought into the lifestyle a little bit in the community.
Yes. But I mean, but isn't that kind of true with most sports though? Is it like as adults, like either you're bought in or, I mean, maybe pickleball, like pickleball was designed for old people and now like young people have taken it over and they're like, dude, you want to go get your ass kicked in pickleball? I'm like, no.
I play hockey every week, but I don't like find myself researching hockey or like.
Wait a second. Back this fucking train up.
What?
Where do you play hockey at?
Where?
Yeah.
Like what league?
You're AHA, right?
Yeah, AHA.
Okay.
Yeah.
I totally forgot that you played hockey.
And like you're a huge golfer. I'm a huge golfer. I'm not. I don't find myself researching golf. Like I'm not. Like that. So some communities, I feel like you have to be bought. And this goes back to picking your target market. Like the reason we're talking about this stuff. You want to sell golf stuff? You find people who are passionate about golf. Find them, sell them. You don't have to sell every person. You just have to find people that are passionate about what you're working on.
You brought up something really funny, by the way, like I could go off on for days, is how many people absolutely suck at golf that play golf 3 to 4 times a week. And they're the guys that are buying every training aid, every tool. I'm like, dude, like if you just for like 3 seconds said, I don't care about golf, like I'm not and you just went out and played, you'd get so much better. There's a guy that I used to work with, one of the very few guys that I just admire and respect there. Former tour pro, now is an amateur car back, and I was talking to him one day, and everybody wants to talk to him about golf because he played on the PGA Tour in the 80s, right?
Yeah.
And like he probably gets annoyed. But I thought it was funny because he's like, just go play. I go, what do you mean? He goes, don't go to the driving range. He's like, how many times in a round do you hit 5 pitching wedges in a row? How many times do you hit 5 drivers in a row? Let alone 40 or 50.
Yeah.
And I started thinking about it. I was like, I hate practice. Like the club member, we got a great practice facility, and people are like, oh, how many times you come out and practice? I'm like, never. Like I come out, I try and hit the ball forward. It's going to go one way or the other. It's going to go left. It's going to go right. Very rarely just dead straight. And I'm just out here to have fun.
You go scramble and make a par.
Exactly. I mean, a case in point, when we played in the scramble this summer, I mean, it was you saw
mad.
how you saw
still
how
mad about the 18th hole.
I think those guys cheated.
Oh, probably.
I think we're going to get them next year.
Yeah.
Edison High School, Northeast Minneapolis. We're coming for your golf tournament next year. We are going to win it.
We're running back the same team.
Can we go find a couple of tour pros, come out there and play with us?
We're 20 under. We're 20 under going into 18.
Yeah, we used a couple of those strings, like, short things. But I mean, didn't we eagle every par 5? Truly eagle every par 5?
Yeah, because we went driver. Well, the last par 5, I went driver 5 iron.
Yeah.
We went driver 4 iron. We went driver 3 wood on one of them. Yeah, we were on in 2 on every par 5.
And we drained some pretty good putts in those too.
Yeah. And back to the golf thing. You said something that I think is really interesting, and we're kind of on tangent land right now. But I got a real good buddy. He just got his tour card too, right? He's great, and he's got a golf product. And he's trying to figure out how to sell to the market, but he plays a lot with a guy who is a legit. Well, he's not PGA. I think he's on the Corn Ferry Tour.
Yeah.
So like really good, right?
Yeah.
And he played around with the guy, and same sort of thing. The guy's out there playing, and he doesn't keep score. The pro doesn't. He doesn't keep score. He doesn't keep track of anything. All he does, he picks one thing he wants to work on each round, and maybe it's his approach. And it's his approach from 100 yards. So every tee shot, no matter what, it's to 100 yards, right? However he gets to 100 yards in, he is specifically picking something to practice on that round. He doesn't keep track of score. He doesn't take mulligan. Like, compare that with the average person that goes out to go play around a golf. And I know there's a very big difference between pro and an amateur, and golf should be about fun, but like, people get so bent out of shape about the score, and they're so focused on scoring that they forget, like,
dude,
you can't expect to score low if you're not practicing to score low.
So this is a funny perspective. This was probably 2010, maybe 2010. And I remember this because like it was kind of a defining moment, me being a little asshole. And I was out playing golf in Arizona at this golf course by my parents' place. And like, I always wanted to be good at things. Like this is something we can unpack in future episodes too, but like kind of this baggage that we carry with us, because you always got to, like, everybody, like, from youth sports through high school, like, it's, you got to be the best. You got to be the best. Like, that's bullshit. Like, dude, there's a lot of average people that have pretty cool lives. But I was golfing. I wanted to be good. And I remember I was on this par 5, the 10th hole at this golf course, and I hit a really bad shot. And I took my club and I just mashed it against a rock.
Yeah.
Took a big gouge out of it. And I was playing with my parents. My parents looked at me and they were pissed. They're like, what the is wrong with you? And I realized, like, I was a giant baby. Like, I was not fun to play with.
Yeah.
And, so from there forward, like, every once in a while, like, I at that moment, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to be a tour pro. I'm not going to ever compete. I may as well just come out here and have fun. I hit a bad shot. Now, don't get me wrong. Every once in a while, I've chucked a club, out of pure anger. Like, sometimes pure funniness too, depending on the people you're with. Like it's kind of that unexpected factor. But
yeah,
I mean, that was a funny moment where I was like, dude, I'm not going to be a tour pro, so why do I care? And all of a sudden, what happened is my index went from like a 6, and I got down to like, I think, a 0.5 the moment I stopped caring.
Yeah,
I mean, you played with me. I walk up with a driver. I take 0 practice swings. I walk up. I pick a line. I swing. I hope I hit the ball. I hope the ball's in play. And if it's not, grab another one out of the cart.
A lot of people that I play with mostly ask me for advice. Sometimes I give too much advice. I need to just shut up. But it's, how do you make that shot? How do you swing like that? How did you make that putt? It's like, I suck at teaching golf. I have no idea other than I'm comfortable. I walk up and I hit the ball. Like, I pick my line. I'm really bad if I don't pick the line, just like everybody. But other than that, I don't think. I have done it so much. I've played golf for, 30 years now at this point. I just swing. And they're like, well, that doesn't help. I'm like, yeah, it kind of does help. Like,
just swing the damn club and stop thinking about the plane. And you're like there are fundamentals you have to have, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel your pain because I golf with people and they're always like, whoa, you hit the ball a really long way. Like, did you play hockey? Like, yep. They're like, oh, that makes sense. I'm like, yeah, except for A, I was a goaltender, and B, I was left-handed. So, when you're a lefty in hockey, nothing correlates to being a righty in golf.
Yeah.
But it's true. Like, just go out there and play. And I think there's a lot to be said about that in terms of just a broader life experience of, like, just go do it.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about this briefly yesterday. Like, it's literally one foot in front of the other. and you see what happens. I mean, nobody starts off as an expert or a prodigy. They get into it. And the other thing I would say to people is like, if you're playing golf just because you think that it's cool, but you don't love it, like just stop playing golf. Go pick up another hobby. Like nobody's going to.
Or just play it to have fun. And don't give two shits about what you score. Just
exactly.
Yeah. And I want to bring this full circle to what we were talking about, because I think there's a lot of things to take away, again, back to as picking who it is that you're trying to talk to as an entrepreneur, right? You've got a business. You need to serve somebody. You cannot serve everybody. You just can't.
Nope.
Nor should you. You don't want to, right? But yesterday we finally honed in on like, what are we really going to go after as a company with Switchback, right?
Yeah, I think we got this figured out. Let me see if I can recite this correctly. Kids, adults, women, men, seniors, children. Did I nail it?
Yeah, basically. But you and I have talked about this specific topic for months now, right? And it's not just who are we going to go after, but what are we, right? That was a big conversation yesterday. We had a breakthrough on like, what are we as a product?
Which let's stop there for a second, because if you're an entrepreneur, and I think like this is a really cool point. There's tension, and they're like, you hear people say there's good tension, bad. Like there was a lot of tension in this office yesterday. Like there was a lot of me really kind of being an asshole, and I had to step out of my own way and just actually listen. And like I kind of feel like I was back in kindergarten when the teacher's like, no, just like shut up, open your ears, be quiet, and listen. I think there's a lot there that again we can talk about on a future episode of. So you want to start a business, and you're working with a buddy, you're working with a friend, or someone approaches you. Like you gotta be open. You gotta listen, because imagine if we'd still be here, I'd still be screaming at you if I wasn't willing to step back and say like, no, I was wrong, and I see your point.
Yeah,
there's a lot to be said about that.
And if you don't understand the journey of how this stuff works, like I could have just shut up and stopped talking. Like, well, this is fucking stupid. We're not going anywhere. You could have stayed still. Like, why don't we have this figured out yet? Well, because it takes a long time to actually figure out what you're doing. It really does.
And it takes some time. I mean, we laugh about the tension.
Yeah.
Because that's it's a good thing, right? Like we have that type of relationship. But I think about it. Like, think back to corporate America. If you were at Target, I was back at the insurance broker I was at. Like, if I had that tension with one of my peers or a quote unquote higher up, dude, they would have lost their shit on me. Like people don't like. Right. So I think
if they weren't willing to what you said 2 minutes ago, sit back and listen and realize positive intent.
And most people aren't, because I think in that situation yesterday, I took what you were saying as criticism of what I've started to build.
Yeah.
Right.
I know.
And so like,
I mean.
So like you were calling, like, I felt like you're calling my baby ugly, but you weren't. You were saying like your baby's beautiful, but you just need to put it in different clothes. Like you need to stop putting it in onesies at the age of 4 and start putting it in actual like shirts and shorts, right?
Visual. Yeah.
Like, that's what it was. You were not calling, you were just saying you need different clothes here, buddy.
Yeah.
And I think like, and then we went to lunch with this guy who's a copywriter and a marketing guy.
By the way, he's not a copywriter.
No, he is not.
No, he's a very established, talented agency.
He's brilliant.
Executive. Like, dude, I was telling my wife afterwards, I said, Oli pitched this lunch with a copywriter in air quotes, and so I had very low intentions. I even asked you earlier, like
you didn't want to go. You're like, dude, why are we wasting our time?
A copyright, I get copywriters are needed. Totally, I'm not dogging the profession, but like, just have him work on the website then. And we sit down and start talking. And the minute he said I was creative director at Campbell Methune, I was like, wait a minute, you're not a copywriter. Like that's a really good position at a really we used to be a really strong agency.
It's incredible.
And then we had one of the best conversations that we've had. He said the same thing though, right? In his email to you last night. I didn't know what I was getting into. I thought this was going to be a pointless brainstorm session. It actually worked. So you never know.
Well, but I think that's a testament to the group we put together. And on a side note, because like this is how my brain thinks, I got to tell you, like, you ever see those iPad commercials where they show all the drawing and like it's like perfect and like you're like, who actually takes notes like that?
Oh yeah.
If you're looking at Rick's notes yesterday,
yes, they
looked like a work of art that I just want to frame on the wall because like it was like perfect bubbles. And
dude, I'm like, what? Why can't I want to know how to do that?
I've resigned myself. I can't do that. Okay, so what was the biggest takeaway you took out of that meeting though?
With Rick or with you and I before?
Rick, like, if you look back on the 1 hour, the hour and 45 minutes, what are the biggest takeaways you take away from that?
I think the biggest takeaway, honestly, it's we had a really good breakthrough as a group, but my biggest takeaway just confirmed the fact that when you get smart people in a room together and just talk openly and brainstorm and jive, that's how most of the stuff works. If you're trying to build a company and you're by yourself all the time in your own world, in your own head, it's not going to work how you anticipate it. It just never will. So, I mean, we have to continue, especially in really hard things. You got to bring in people who are smarter than you, who are more talented than you, who understand different parts of the business that you don't. And you just have to say, like, what did Rick say yesterday? I'm just here to ask a lot of questions. I don't really know. I don't have answers, but I ask a lot of questions.
Matt, you also said something like, which is amazing because exactly what I thought. Like, Rick came up with some cool ideas, but I walked away from there going, holy shit, I've made good choices here. I've got 3 guys that genuinely care, that are really smart, that are open. And we had this awesome discussion where we got so much accomplished.
Yeah.
And so to me, the product that came out of it isn't as important to me as that experience and knowing and trusting the 3 guys at that table. I mean, like, wow, like if I die today, I know that this company is going to be just fine with those 3 people running this because they have the same vision, passion, right? So like,
yeah,
it's cool to hear you say that. And I love that because I think that like that is, I think if we went out and asked 100 people, they'd be like, oh, well, what they got out of it was this tagline. No. What we got out of it was great people, good things happen.
Right. And, giving a ton of credit to you too, this is your baby. Like, you did create this. We're all coming in after. Like, you've got a vision in your head. And being able to take a step back and be open to other people, like, not a lot of entrepreneurs can do that. Not a lot of founders, not a lot of people who have ran businesses for a while as individuals owning their businesses can step back and be like, maybe I don't know. Maybe I haven't looked at something the right way. I work with a guy outside of here that every time I bring up ideas and new things we could do as a company, he's like, well, I don't know how to do that. I'm not doing it. It's like, well, hold on. Like, surround yourself with people that know how to do it then. You don't have to do it yourself. You don't have to have the answers.
How did our morning, when you came into the office, what was one of the first things I started to show you?
Yesterday?
No, today.
I am totally blanking.
I started to show you a bunch of UGC
options.
And the look on your face is like, dude, the big whiteboard that we drew on yesterday says you are handling marketing. Why the fuck are you worrying about this? Let me handle it. And I think they're like that's such a critical screw up on my behalf, right? Because I'm used to over the last year and a half, like I do everything. And so now like I got to turn this over and I got to say, okay, Matt, like this is all you and I trust you. Like clearly I trust you. So like just go do it and life will be good. But like it was just, like, it was funny because you can't do it all yourself. And honestly, like I said to my wife Carly last night, I go, she's like, how's the day? I'm like, you know what? I go, this feels really good now. And then she asked, she's like, oh, you got all your issues figured out? I'm like, no, we got more issues than we had the day before. But the good news is I don't feel like I have to take this entire thing on because now I know what Matt's going to handle and he can handle shit that I'm not good at. And I can focus on what I need to, which is, packaging, suppliers, manufacturing, et cetera. And we can bring this whole thing harmoniously together.
Well, 2 things on that. So I think what you're referring to, if someone's going, well, what the hell happened? Like, what was the thing? You've been interviewing a bunch of people the last couple of days that we want to take on as like a video editor, graphic designer, someone to help in the graphics, creative stuff that we suck at. And every single one of these interviews, these people have been saying you need UGC, you need user-generated content for brands right now in 2023 to grow online. So Oli, here's this. I need UGC. And you heard it from 4 or 5 or 6 different people. Like we keep hearing
literally
it,
everybody,
and we don't have it.
Our firm.
They say we need it. They just whatever. Different topic. And so it's in your head. I need this thing. Because everyone keeps telling me things. That is shiny object. That's shiny object syndrome. It's like the downfall of every single business, right? You get focused on something that's all of a sudden new and shiny and interesting. So what have you been looking at? UGC. You've been trying to figure out, I need this thing. Well, that's just one component of what we need right now, right? But you keep hearing it, so it becomes a squeaky wheel. And as an entrepreneur and a founder, like that's what you you default to. Everyone has that problem. It happens all the time.
That is a really cool call out. And I mean, not that you don't know it, but it's funny how you hear something 5, 6, 7 times, and then you have to focus on it.
Right.
And as the entrepreneur, I'm like, well, shit, this is really important. And I know it's important, but I also need to be able to admit that this isn't really my thing, right? Like, I don't need to focus on that because I trust you. You've got all these relationships, you got all this stuff. I'll ask my network, I'll ask people that I know to create UGC, but on that, we just let it roll, let Matt roll with it, and then I go focus on the things that I'm supposed to focus on.
Yeah, exactly. And I know if you're a solo guy, don't be solo. It's really damn hard to build a business solo. But secondly, even if you are solo, there's freelancers. There's other people that can help with this stuff. If you can just be honest and admit, I don't know how to do that thing, I'm going to suck at it. Get out of your own way.
And I don't think we talked about this last week, but to that point, many of you have no idea how Matt and I, like, our kind of backstory of how we ended up together. We talked maybe briefly about it, but the funniest part about the relationship that we have here is Matt was introduced through a mutual friend of ours as like, hey, you guys should know each other. And I don't know why we should have known each other, but we should have known each other.
Because I'm in the food industry and you were starting a food company.
Okay, so that was
because it's a very tight knit. Everyone there's no reason we should have known each other yet.
No, there isn't. I was kind of a. This is.
But
funny.
thank you, Johan.
Wait, what did you say yesterday? How did you refer to me?
Yesterday?
Yeah,
the first time we met, I thought you were just like a quirky, like just that was the way you were, and you just kind of talked about all sorts of random shit and changed topics all the time.
So we're not far off, but. It was really funny because when I set out on this journey, I wanted, like, this was going to be my and only my company, right? Like, I was going to build this thing and this is what I was going to do. Then all of a sudden I get introduced to Matt and we're having these conversations and we start talking, and Matt's like, well, have you thought about this? Or have you thought about that? Or like, have you looked at this? And then I think it was in June, Matt's like, dude, I really want to be a part of this. I really want to help you. And I really want to, take these tasks on. And the weird part as an entrepreneur is, like, I wanted complete autonomy, right? Because everything I wanted to be mine. But then you realize, like, hey, other people have good ideas. The challenge that I find with a lot of, like, you going 50-50, like, you're sitting around, you're having beers, you go, hey, let's start this company. You don't really know whether or not someone's going to do something or they're actually going to do it. So, and I've said this to Matt, like, if you have an idea, just go start doing it.
Yeah.
And when someone like Matt comes along and they have expertise and they have passion and they're like, hey, I want to join you for this ride, that's when you make the no-go decision. But don't just say, hey, buddy, like, we've been friends for 27 years. We went to grade school together. I love you. Let's go start this. Because you really don't know, even your best friends, you just don't know whether or not they're going to do and have do what they say they're going to do. And so we got a third guy, Evan, and he's great. He's got a full-time job. His job actually requires him to work. So that's why,
mine does too.
Well, yours does too, but you work remote.
Yeah.
Evan needs to be in the office. And I mean, Evan is tremendous at what he does, and he's busy. So hopefully we can, grow this thing and people can come over and, we can start building this thing out, and before you know it, blow out that wall and have a bigger office. But as you build out your company, I think that's a piece that I want people to know is just think about instead of going out there and forcing yourself to find a business partner, let a business partner come to you. Let someone come to you with ideas and passion, and then you can start evaluating. And then the final piece, before I have to go pick up my kids or go over to my kids' gymnastics here in a couple minutes, but I think oh gosh, where's it going with that, Matt? What was the final piece on that stuff? Oh, invest. Like, you're going to get people that want to invest.
Oh yeah. We talked about that yesterday.
Yeah, and it's amazing how many people offered to write me a check, and some with the best of intentions. But I'm like, you really want to write a check and just light it on fire right now? Like, maybe that makes me a shitty entrepreneur because I'm not willing to take a bunch of money. But I also want people to understand, like, if you're going to write me a check, I want you to be active in the business. I want you to be the biggest advocate and be out there building it, because it's only going to benefit you in the end. But it's amazing how many people be like, oh, I'll write you a check. I'll write you a check. I'll write you a check. Like, you don't even know me. Why would you like? Is it greed? Is it what is it? I mean, what do you think it is, Matt?
I don't know. I mean, the only thing I could think yesterday when we were having this conversation is I feel like in the business world right now and just in general, people have this belief that it's so easy to be an entrepreneur and these businesses just work. And if I believe in you as an operator, or I know you, I trust you, like I'm just going to give you money and it's going to work. Like people just want to be owners to say they're owners, I think, without realizing like it's really hard to find businesses that are going to succeed, especially startups. But they have to know you. Like they know you from somewhere. They trust you based on what you've done in the past, and they assume that you're going to make this thing work. And not everybody has that, right? Like it's actually very rare that as a brand new startup in an industry, by the way, that you prior to starting Switchback had nothing to do with. You've never been in food. You've never been to direct to consumer.
I find it offensive. I made a smoothie every morning.
Yeah, right.
I was in the industry, I was not selling them.
But I think you hear this all the time too when you listen to other podcasts about entrepreneurship and growing businesses. People bet on the team and the founders. Right? Like the product can be whatever it is, but if they believe that leadership team is the team that's going to be able to make something happen, they'll invest in it. So I think you're getting people that just believe in you already, and that's lucky.
No, it is. It is. And I mean, I'm thankful for that. I think that, again, one of the things I thought about a lot this morning in the walk was just, God willing, we're successful and we have a business that generates cash. We can do fun things. One of the things I really want to do is like, I was thinking about like D.H.E. and maybe we call it like the cough club. Because you think about it, like as an entrepreneur that's successful,
D.H.E.
entrepreneurs helping entrepreneurs.
Oh, because wait, our podcast is D.H.E. What is E.H.E.?
So yeah, exactly. I'm off the rails again. It's one of those things that like I've got a couple of very successful entrepreneurs in my network.
Yeah,
that are as helpful as can be. But I was thinking about like, if we had a company and it was worth a lot of money and someone bought it or we were just generating a lot of cash, like how much fun would it be to start a group, like a private, very tight-knit group of entrepreneurs that help other entrepreneurs? So an entrepreneur is struggling, but they've got a good idea. Like we're gonna pay your mortgage for 6 months just to take that stress off of you. Stuff like that like supporting entrepreneurs as opposed to this zero-sum game that so many entrepreneurs have of like, you can't compete with me or I'm going to like, I don't know. Just a random thought, but I got to run and pick up my daughter or my son and go watch him do some gymnastics and probably kick some butt.
Well, then let's wrap this up, Oli. What do we say at the end of every episode? What is our one ask for the listeners of hanging out with us today?
Come by no, I'm just kidding. We don't advertise.
Right.
And so our ask for you is share this podcast with people that like it. Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you want our socials, and share this with people that you think it might resonate with.
I know you're sitting there listening to this conversation. You've got if it's not you, you've got an entrepreneur friend in mind. You're like, damn, they're going through the same thing. Share the show. Give them the info. We're trying to build this network, this community. Dads helping dads, entrepreneurs helping entrepreneurs. So do us a favor, share the show, help us grow. Let's go. Yeah. I'm going to keep rhyming until it's time to
rhyme that
stuff.
stuff.
All right. We're out of here.